Honey trap, India's defense establishments and ISI. Honey trap, attempts by India's neighbors, Pakistan and China, to snoop and gather sensitive information about India isn't new. It just keeps repeating, not even possibly in newer forms. The latest, a man identified as Pravin Mishra allegedly fell victim to a honey trap orchestrated by an ISI operative who posed as an IBM employee named Sonal Garg. The cops have claimed the main accused, an ISI handler from Pakistan, identified herself as Sonal Garg. She told him that she was working at IBM Chandigarh. She honey-trapped Pravin Mishra and she got him to extract India's defense-related information. Crucial details concerning drones developed by India's Defense Research and Development Organization. This is what Gujarat CID has said. Now, who is Pravin Mishra? He's an engineer and worked in Hyderabad in an organization which in turn worked with DRDO. The Pakistani operative used an Indian WhatsApp number and the fake Facebook ID of Sonal Garg to target and trap Mishra. Now, here's an interesting and alarming fact. The cop from Gujarat CID has said that Mishra's case is not isolated, as the ISI has targeted numerous individuals associated with defense establishments. Apart from Pravin, many other people working for defense establishments were also targeted.
पाकिस्तान का ISI हैंडलर खुद का नाम सोनल गर्ग करके बताती और वो IBM चंडीगढ़ में काम करती ऐसे बोल के हनी ट्रैप करने की कोशिश की और हनी ट्रैप में प्रवीण मिश्रा ट्रैप हुए। उसमें प्रवीण मिश्रा से इंडिया का जो डिफेंस रिलेटेड एस्टेब्लिशमेंट में काम करते हैं या अन्य जो प्राइवेट संस्था डिफेंस एस्टेब्लिशमेंट के लिए जो स्पेयर पार्ट से तैयार करके देते हैं वैसे लोगों को टारगेट करते हैं। उसमें प्रवीण भी है। प्रवीण पहले हैदराबाद का एक संस्था में काम करता था। वो संस्था DRDO के साथ काम करते थे। DRDO को कुछ स्पेयर पार्ट्स बेचते थे।
In fact, my team looked at some cases over 12 years. There have been at least 25 cases we came across, all of them linked to defense establishments in India. At least 8 cases linked to the Indian Army and at least 4 linked to the Indian Air Force. In fact, as a modus operandi, Pakistan intelligence operative traps them, forging identity, creating a fake background and story about, in most cases, the woman. The location of the woman is often disclosed as that from some other country. The picture used by them in their profile photo or even the picture shared by them may be of some other person, mostly never of the person talking to the concerned official or the defense personnel. As a common modus operandi in cybercrime, details and pictures of people are stolen and are then sold to such agencies. And this isn't about only Pakistan. China, Russia have used far more sophisticated means of honey trapping, according to officials. In fact, India's defense forces, including the army, has banned several apps to keep any confidential information from being leaked. Among the banned apps are dating apps, including Tinder, Bumble, OkCupid and others. And yet, the incidents repeat. The army describes honey trapping as a weapon of hybrid warfare being waged by its enemies and is watched out for very closely. Let's try and understand what really are the various aspects of this hybrid warfare, for what army has described it as, but something that has been at the forefront since ages and only seems to be intensifying. I'm being joined by MK Sood, former RAW officer, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, a defense expert, and Maruf Raza, a security expert. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us and for taking your time out. Well, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, if I may ask you first. And the question is, there's so much which is spoken today about cyber crimes. There's so much awareness given to ordinary citizens as well, from young to teens to youth to the elderly. News is full of this. There's all forms of cheating that really unfolds in the cyber world. Now, my question is, for something that is so age-old as a technique, how is it that personnel linked to India's defense establishments, and not just India's defense establishments, but we speak more of this because it is such a high security establishment. How is this a repeat offense that personnel officials seem to be so susceptible to? Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, this is to you. All right, we seem to have some issue with the signal. We'll try and get back to him in a moment. But NK Sood, if I may come to you, NK Sood, what has changed? And we, as I said, we went through just about last 25 years, and we've just seen the way cases have unfolded one after the other. Has anything changed whatsoever in terms of the modus operandi when it comes to honey trapping being used as a weapon by a neighboring country or an outside country for that matter?
Actually, of course, the operation has changed because there is much more openness with social media. So Pak intelligence, they are on the lookout through the social media. They search through the Facebook. Because people disclose their origin or their links with the organization. So that is a dangerous thing. Normally, the people belonging to intelligence agencies, they keep away from this. And even the people who are working in sensitive organizations like DRDO, IB, RAW, and other army organizations, they are not allowed to use telephones or especially mobile phones with the WhatsApp, etc. inside their offices. But some people, they commit some mistakes. But when you commit some mistake, you come into the social media, you pick up somebody as a friend without verifying his or her context, then you are inviting trouble. So this happens, when the people come in contact through Facebook, then they change to the WhatsApp. And in the WhatsApp, I have myself seen certain cases, some of my friends, they were talking to some girl, something, and all of a sudden, the girl starts taking off her clothes. So the moment this happens, the people, they should similarly, in this case, this Mishra's case also, they must have shared some sensitive information. They must have shared some personal information. So the personal chats, etc. So they become suspect, they become susceptible to exploitation. So this so happens. So the people who are working in sensitive organization or near to them, they should be careful, they should be cautious, because once you are trapped, your life is disturbed, your personal life is disturbed, and your working life is also disturbed.
I mean,
so one has to take precautions himself or
life for sure.
Pakistan,
Yeah, I'll just come back to you, sir, at this point. Do we have Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni back?
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, I believe we lost the line with you. Sir, my question to you remains the same. This seems to be something that is spoken about to civil, to the civil world a lot. There's lots of awareness which is given about cyber crimes. And even if you look at this honey trapping, it just seems to be a cyber crime in another form. And yet you have some of the top officials, a lot of junior personnel linked to the Indian defense establishment fall for something like this again and again and again, year on and year on and year on. I mean, why is this such a problem to tackle?
What happens is one has to be very careful. It is the very fact that you are caught is indicative. There's a lot that is being done to ensure that these things don't happen. You've seen even senior scientists like Kurulkar got caught. Before that, you found people involved in BrahMos being caught. The ones in Agni been caught. The ones who were normally involved into supplying things like this chap has now been caught with supplying items for drones. All this is that's what the enemy will always do. We have to be careful. Earlier, one would tell you can know a man is known by the company he keeps or the books that he reads. A man today is known from the mobile he keeps. He knows if you track his mobile, you'll exactly be able to say what does he want, what does he read, what does he see, what are his inclinations. All this is very, very important. You may have any number of things that went to the office. You will not carry your mobile phones. You carry the other one. You will not. You will ensure that you will read the Indian Official Secret Act. Keep signing it year on year to ensure that you know you've read it. That if should you go wrong, you will be punished for it. Everything is in place. But human character is something that really needs to be done. So there is obviously a system which we ensure and follow that these kind of things do happen. We have to be keeping a track of it. Very, very senior officers get trapped into it. Very junior. The infiltration by the ISI into think tanks, infiltration of the ISI into Washington think tank, and ISI in conjunction with China's Confucius studies in Nepal, everywhere. So they are always on the track as to who are these people, and slowly and steadily, movements of the army they are wanting to know what is going on in the army. So this is one of the ways of getting to know information without sweating. Pakistan has invested almost 15 years back $350 million only for the perception management in the United States. That's the kind of money. You had the ex-chief of Pakistan, person, Shuja Nawaz, involved, Atlantic Council. You see the kind of think tanks that they're all into. So this is what they would want to do. The enemy will do what it wants to do. We have to be careful. We have to keep a track of our people. We have to ensure women have always been a weakness. Spying and soldiering have been as old as the professions, they go together. So we have to be very careful. We have to ensure, and the style of living of individuals, where it is, what it is, how is he inclined, even the peer group around him. Mobile today is a thing through which you can easily make out what this chap is all about. Whether if he knows he has to disclose his numbers that he has. If he has disclosed 2 numbers that he has, and if he's using the third one or doing something else, he should be punished, and severe punishment must be given, because these kind of honey trapping, just not honey trapping, you get to find the weakness of an individual to the mobile. There are individuals involved into porn, individuals involved into wanting to get loans, individuals involved in wanting some money, transferring information, whatever, weaknesses. Every person has a skeleton in the cupboard. And therefore, we have to be watchful, careful, vigilant, and ensure that these kind of things don't happen. ISI will do it. China will do it. That's what they're paid for. We must ensure that we must not get caught into it. Time and again, our own people have to be briefed, and they have to be told not just signatures on the Indian Official Secret Act, but being told the consequences. And the consequences must be severe. Only then the thing goes around spreading that yes, should we get involved? Anybody can be involved. They are always looking out for weaknesses of individuals. They could be cooks. They could be working in the intelligence establishments. They could be working in the DRDO establishments. Now that we are all doing very well, we are now going to be
Absolutely.
the third largest economy in the world.
You know, one really wonders, because anyway, the punishment is very serious. I mean, no officer, no personnel is going to be let off the hook because this person has served in so-and-so department or so-and-so force and has been honey trapped. No one is going to be let off the hook. So the punishment is definitely very severe. It's a given in most cases. And yet you just seem to have the recurrence. Of course, the defense forces, including the army and several defense establishments, have taken a lot of measures. I'll come back to that in a bit. But let me just move across to Maruf Raza at this point. Maruf, how complex, how critical is this issue really before India when you look at the larger context? The army calls it hybrid warfare. Just how much of a big threat is this, considering, if you look at, you've had information of linked to BrahMos leaked out earlier. This time there were some very sensitive informations about drones that were leaked out. Just how much of a threat is it for India?
Well, that is really the central question. And the fact of the matter is that, people, for want of another term, have termed all these gamut of these activities that are taking place, spying, cyber attacks, picking up information, photocopying of documents, and even influencing the minds of the local populace to create an anti-government agitation is all part of hybrid warfare. This is the new kind of warfare. I mean, General Kulkarni and I have both been in uniform, so we know that we are trained to work on a very focused manner that सामने दुश्मन एक गोली उसको खत्म करना है. But now what has happened is your bullets and your bombs and your missiles are not going to count for that much because the adversary, and let me tell you, Pakistan's cyber skills are as good, if not better than us, from what I've learned from intelligence agencies. And China is, of course, way ahead, is the master of the game. So, therefore, army related information gathering is the job that is entrusted to intelligence agencies. And this is used for multiple purposes, is to get blackmail, to get extract more mileage out with the other country. Now, for example, the two people that we have held, one is that lady. We can keep her on as long as the Pakistanis are going to hold on to Kulbhushan Jadhav. After all, it's tit for tat. Go back into history since the Cold War. I mean, American spy plane pilots were exchanged for Russian pilots. These kind of things keep happening. This is the business of intelligence and
No, in this
intelligence gathering.
particular case,
Only
Maruf,
thing
though
is we
it's
have to
only
keep our
Pravin who
guards
has
up.
been arrested. One doesn't even know who this Sonal is, whether it is Sonal or some other person or some other gender for that matter.
Yeah. So the pointed issue is the one person they're saying out of the two people who are arrested, one has very clear ISI links. Now the person who's got ISI links, she or he, whichever way it is, would be answering to their masters in Pakistan. And the ISI, Pakistan has spent a lot of money and energy in building up its intelligence apparatus. That's one of the reasons why Pakistan is so badly off economically.
Right.
It spends everything on defense, intelligence, and diplomacy. So that is why it picks up all these people,
All right.
gives them
No,
funds.
that's an interesting point. And let me just build on this and take this to NK Sood, because I want to take it from where you're leaving it at this point. Mr. NK Sood, what Maruf Rasa is saying that Pakistan is so heavily invested in it. We also heard Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni as well speak about this. But it's not really just Pakistan. It's not really just ISI. We made to believe that China also uses it, but has far more sophisticated ways of doing honey trap, as a word, if you might, or even spying. As a former RAW officer, just how difficult is this challenge to tackle in terms of India's security?
So this is a big issue for us, and I think our agencies are very much concerned about it also. They are alert also. But the thing is, as Maruf Raza has said, about Pakistan. Pakistan is on the verge of bankruptcy. Pakistan is looking out for just $1 billion to survive. But Pakistan is still spending a lot of money on defense. They are purchasing ships, submarines from China. They are utilizing large amounts of money on such kind of operations. These operations are not cheap operations. They are costly operations.
So is India, sir.
And
so is India invested a lot in its defense.
Daily, they make hundreds of calls to India. But not that way. And actually, we have the position, We have been, Pakistan, now you take the case of terrorism. Pakistan is investing in terrorism also. We are not doing that. We are protecting ourselves. So the way the ISI works, I'm really surprised how the ISI works and what they want to achieve from this. Now, recently the case had come of Seema Haider.
No. So help us understand, because obviously with your experience, you're saying this. If you're saying that you are so surprised of how ISI works, why is it so much of a surprise? Because as we outsiders, as civilians who would be looking at all of these things, look at the parallels of what happened, of what happens. It's often online chatting in some form, which would be WhatsApp or some social media somewhere, there would be
So that is true. That is true,
obviously impersonated information that's given in. It's not the original person at the hand. If you look at a very simple level, it's just something that is spoken about so often in today's world when it comes to cybercrime, and yet it is so much more complex and so much of a threat with so many layers of implications when it comes to honey trapping and India's defense establishments. We're just trying to understand, when you say that you're so surprised about how ISI functions in this aspect, could you help us glean and understand just how deep is this rot?
I'm not surprised how they function. I am surprised how. What surprises me most is that their economic condition is not suitable for their country, and still they're investing so much amount of such kind of things. First thing is to make your country strong. Then you indulge in different things. Pakistan is still indulging in terrorism. Pakistan is still indulging in this kind of honey trapping. Pakistan is still investing money in their arms towards the armed forces. When the Pakistan doesn't have money, they don't have money to feed their people. And you see, I have been working in RAW. I have seen different aspects of our work, and we don't go so deep into Pakistan on such petty things, We launch very good operations, very effective operations. Now you take the case of 1971 war. The whole operation was prepared and by RAW, and army executed it. And it was a wonderful operation. But Pakistan does small petty things to disturb other things, and Pakistan is more disturbed by that. We are not, of course, we are also disturbed, And the way Pakistan is doing these things, we are actually, if you talk about India, we have concerns from Pakistan, we have concerns from China, we have even concerns from the US also. Even friends are also targeting us.
I see. Okay. All right. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, could you just spend a minute or two just trying to help us understand what are the measures that India's defense forces, India's defense establishments are taking to counter this? What kind of training goes into this? What kind of training are personnel, officials equipped with to be able to deal with such challenges? And I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at it, a lot of young people in the forces also seem to be subject to this honey trapping as well, apart from senior officials.
Absolutely. They are very pertinent question. First and foremost, the awareness is very, very important, because these are all low-cost options that are employed by the enemy, our adversaries, to get maximum information. And anyone honey trapping, you are with that lady or whatever the means are for years on, and so therefore you are a big danger. So awareness is very, very important. Secondly, we have got to be making sure that artificial intelligence has to be used. All mobile, there are restrictions of fundamental rights for people in uniform, and those must be exercised very, very seriously, because whatever it be, you have the artificial intelligence now comes in a way that if it is my mobile, it tells you exactly what is my inclination, where is it going, what are the numbers that I'm generally approaching, and what are the. So every individual, so there has to be a cyber cell which is trying to monitor my activities also, because it's very important, because we cannot afford to be seen. It won't happen. Aberrations, these are called aberrations, and aberrations may be just two in number, but the fact that they're aberrations, and the fact that they can convey information which would be extremely difficult for the adversaries or the enemy to acquire from, and therefore the need. And therefore, very important is to constantly keep that all the men in uniform and otherwise associated with defense and security, that look, the repercussions are serious. Here it is, you keep signing the Indian Official Secret Act to ensure that these things don't happen. Awareness, mobiles, their normal, their laptops, anything and everything these days, where they're meeting, their standards of living. You know exactly how a person lives, is living beyond his means, what it is like, everything has to be told.
Absolutely.
Kept vigil on, surveillance on our own people as also on the enemy to see what is going on. Even normal, every man, ISI or anyone for that matter wanting to have information about us will even trap civilians to keep a track. Now, poverty is something which is there all across. You may have one of your brothers in the armed forces, yet another brother doing
that's
some
true,
business
sir.
somewhere.
Unfortunately, we are totally out of time. I do have to go to Maruf Raza for a last 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Maruf Raza, I do not have more time in this. But very quickly, could you just put it in the perspective as your last word about just how not unusual is honey trapping when it comes to countries and their neighborhoods?
It's not honey trapping per se. This kind of activities and these threats have been there, will be there. And as General Kulkarni has said, and Mr. Sood has said, that lots of measures have been taken, but you cannot control the human mind and its activities wherever a person tends to find a temptation and slip. So that option is there. But, there is, now I'll give you an example. Just one example should suffice my argument. And that is, how are nuclear
10 seconds,
weapon
I don't have
codes
more than that.
guarded so secretly? They are guarded because there are very, very tight measures of checks and balances to ensure that no Dr. Strangelove in India or Pakistan can go ballistic and blow up the subcontinent with nuclear missiles. So these codes are enforced, and check and double check takes place all the time. And that is what needs to be done. If you really want to get to the bottom of it, you have to have the same model. And you'll be pretty
All
much
right,
on top
sir.
of the situation.
We're totally
in
out
1
of
year's
time, Maruf Raza. Right. Thank you very much, NK Sood, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, as well as Maruf Raza for joining us, for helping us understand this very critical aspect of what is termed as hybrid warfare by the Indian Defence Forces. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. Well, it's time for a very short break. Thank you very much for watching us.